What's up, everybody? Just coming in for a minute. Talk about some of the things transpiring inside the Alabama Department of Corrections, and we seem to last couple of days we done have um, several people lose their life, which is really that's what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And the DOJ, when people see these incidents occurring, a lot of people online saying contact the DOJ. And I think the DOJ does offer some assistance. They offer some ways to support. But I just want to remind people that the DOJ has been around and involved with the Alabama Department of Corrections since 2016. That's when they first publicly announced their intentions to conduct statewide investigation. But they have been involved already as early as 2015. I know that they had been paying attention to some of the things that were coming out uh, that Free Alabama movement was putting out, the videos, some of our content and stuff, and they were aware of the situation as it was evolving. 2016, whatever the reason that they decided that it was time for them to come in and get directly involved, they did, and you know things have continued to get worse. You know, and no one has intervened. I just want to remind people that like very few officers um, have been arrested or held accountable for some of the stuff that has transpired over the last, we'll just say 5 years throughout the course of the DOJ investigation. Like very little um, pressure being applied in Montgomery. Um, the civil lawsuit that they filed, yeah, it's good, and I think that there are going to be some benefits to come out of that. But with the new prison bill plan being announced, and we know that it's going to take a couple years before everything is ready. Like, what are our realistic expectations from the DOJ over the next couple of years, based on what we saw in the previous 5 years? Like the murders, they've been there. The suicide, the lack of resources, mental health, they've been there. The drug overdoses, those have been there. The negligence um, on behalf of the medical staff, they've been there. So, like, what is it that what are we expecting from the Department of Justice? Like, I don't think that many people understand that the Department of Justice is a part of the government. It's a government entity. And mass incarceration is a governmental policy. This is a policy of the United States of America. And so when the DOJ says that they're going to come in and do this and that and the third, like what is it that people are thinking that they're going to do relative to the the culture, the priorities, the way of life of the prisons and free labor, and it's like how much of this do people really think the DOJ is going to change? Like when they leave, like what do you think going to be laying in their wake? If you take a look at all of the states that have went the route of new prisons, like the DOJ investigated all of these states. The DOJ was involved with all of these states in one way or another, filing lawsuits, investigations, and stuff. And these states were allowed to build these new prisons, and no state has reduced their incarceration rate by 50% or 60 or 70%. Or like, what has happened as a result of the DOJ's involvement? I mean, for those of us on the inside, the investigative work that they've done, they have the resources, so of course it's going to be great. Their ability to develop facts and marshal resources and investigators and forensics people and subpoena power, and you know they have the resources to do all of that. But what is the result of it? Like, what is the real change that's coming about as a result of all of this stuff that we see the DOJ involved in? And it's very minimal relative to the the oppression, the suffering, the the happenings, the things that are going on and occurring inside of prison, like very little of that is changing anywhere. You know, they talk about the drug issue. I'll just use that as an example. You always see them talking about drugs and contraband inside of prison. Okay, when the drugs and contraband are removed from the prison, the people are still inside of the prison under the same condition. Nothing is being changed. The investments in education and the ability to get college coursework and the ability to use that as a mandate for parole and early release and stuff like none of that stuff has changed. So I just want people to think about, um, some of this stuff. Like, what exactly is it that we are expecting from the Department of Justice? And how is it that we can best utilize the work that the DOJ has done to further our cause? You know, because we've got to do something about these dead bodies that keep coming in these prisons. And people want to look at it and say, "Oh, they're criminal, they're violent, they're this and that." But there's a culture in here that basically says that this is the way to live. Like there's a culture inside these prisons that promotes violence, and my intentions was not to come on here and break down some of that stuff. I'm gonna break down some of that stuff um, in the very near future. But I mean, it's just this is not something that's sustainable long term. Like the amount of people that keep losing their life for whatever reason. Yeah, we want the drugs out of here. Yeah, we understand what the drugs are doing, but we want people out of here also. You know, we don't just want them to have this security apparatus where nothing's coming in, no books are coming in, no contraband or whatever, because they stopping books, newspapers, they stopping everything from coming in except for people. And that's what we want to stop. We want to stop people from coming into these prisons. And so, what is it that you're seeing with the DOJ that's saying to you that they're going to fulfill that's what they're going to do? And right now, I'm not seeing anything based on what's transpired over the last 5 years and what's continuing to go on today. Like, I'm not seeing anything. But I do expect for them to force the state's hand to a degree, you know. But it's not far fetched to think that they would allow them to string this stuff out over the next 2 years while they get these prisons built. So our challenge is to figure out how we're going to organize, mobilize people, and put together some kind of campaign where we all can come together and really make some changes in Alabama. And even the people that come to the table, there are some people that are coming to the table that are not advocating for, you know, mass releases. Like they don't want to see a lot of people get out of prison. They want to see a lot of people remain in prison. They just saying they want the conditions to be better. They want, the civil and human rights of the people incarcerated to be respected. But when you respect a person's human rights and that person has made a mistake, if that person corrects that mistake and corrects themselves, then that there is no justification for that person to continue to remain in prison, and it doesn't matter what the charge is. And that's the part that we're having the most difficulty with people who are claiming to be allies and activists and whatever. You know, there's a contradiction and a conflict where they're asking for improved conditions for people to be in prison, and we're saying that there's no way that you can respect a person as a human being and respect their human rights. And they had an issue that caused them to come to prison, and when they correct that issue, there's not a guaranteed way for them to leave because all of the blame, as I said before, all of the blame for every person in prison, whether they're innocent or guilty, everyone's saying, "Oh, it's your fault. You're the one that's responsible for you being there." Well, why can't we be 100% responsible for getting out? Why can't we have a criteria or curriculum, and when we complete that curriculum, 100% certain that we're going home? Because 100% certain, allegedly, our deficiencies or whatever it was that caused us to come is what caused us to be here. So what happens when we fix it? So um, just wanted to chime in on that, because I'm really concerned about people in this love affair with the DOJ, and and less of a love affair with doing doing some things, very important things that's gonna have to be done for ourselves. Thanks for listening.